I started trading in 2015 and I was coming off of a lot of student loans, medical debt, credit card bills, credit card debt, all ballooning out of control. I was also recovering, end of my recovery from a brain tumor operation in which I almost died. The brain tumor operation, that was a massive deal. So it was a 5 centimeter golf ball sized brain tumor that had to be taken out because if it grew just a little bit more, it would have blocked my breathing nerve and I would have died in my sleep within 2 weeks. So the doctor told me I had 2 weeks to live if I didn't have this brain operation. So I had to have emergency brain surgery, take out the brain tumor, and then have a 2 to 3 year recovery to get most of everything back. So my first job as an architect, I was designing staircases and bathrooms and parking lots. Junior design job because I had to accumulate points to take the architecture license exam in 2 years. So 2 years later. So I went to school for 10 years, racked up a bunch of student loan debt and everything, all the other debt that I had too from medical and credit cards. I'm still not an architect. I still got to do 2 to 3 years more on top of that with low pay. It was $26.50 an hour. I had to drive an hour to work, an hour back in traffic, in LA traffic. By the time I got back from work, I was just exhausted. You know, it just drains you. When I started to look into learning how to trade, because I started to look at other high income skills because I was in so much of a bad financial position, first thing across in my head was real estate. So I was looking at real estate jobs. YouTube algorithms and Google algorithms push stocks to me. The more I looked into it, it reminded me of fantasy baseball and it reminded me of chess. When I started to look at books and just basic material to learn, I didn't have much energy to study it because I was coming back from work so tired, I couldn't really focus to study. And I can imagine most people from being drained from their regular day job. So I knew I had to do something else. So that's when I looked into Uber. While I was driving, I would listen to audiobooks. So that helped a lot. And I would take breaks and go to Starbucks and read. So I got to incorporate studying while I was working, as opposed to when I was in the firm, in the architecture firm, you're not allowed to study in the architecture firm as you work. The more I studied and the more I looked into it, the more I realized it's going to be very hard because there's people coming out of college that are 20 something years old and I'm here, I'm 32 and I have a lot of baggage from my life, from the loans, the student loans, the medical debt and all this other stuff. I'm going to have to work twice as hard. I'm going to have to put in 20 years of work or 10 years of work in a period of a couple years because I spent more than 10 years doing architecture. That was a serious career and trading is a serious career. So I'm going to have to work twice as hard to play catch up. I realized that studying while I was driving Uber and taking the breaks at Starbucks, that wasn't enough. I needed to live, breathe, and sleep, and everything had to be trading. So that's when I decided to look into a shared office space. Once my lease ended in my apartment, I was looking to reduce my bills, first of all. Rent at the time, 2015, 2016, $1,500 a month. $500 a month for the car, $200 for insurance, and on top of that, gas, food. I decided, okay, once this lease ends, I'm gonna rent an office and live in the office, and I'll shower at the gym. I had it all figured out, and then I'll drive Uber on the side. Also, I can study more. So it's like I gotta reduce my bills, get my life together, and then also study more. That combination was the concept. Eventually, Uber became tutoring. I found that I can tutor kids with the skills I know of math, science, writing, and that'll be less draining on me than physically driving. I used to be so tired from driving. I can make a little bit more money. It's almost a little bit more money, but less work. And then less work meant I can study more. The office sped me up. So I was living in my office and I would sleep at the desk, napping with my head down like that, just nap at the desk 2 or 3 times. I was on a mission. Phone number was changed. Didn't go out. No phone calls. No going out and having a beer. None of that. Living in the office, that posed a lot of problems because you're not allowed to sleep in there. You are allowed to work and you can work around the clock, but to sleep in it is unacceptable. You get kicked out. I had to sleep at my desk. After a while, man, the desk, it hurt my back and it hurt my neck, but I did it as long as I could. And then I discovered there was a room on the side called the wellness room. However, napping was not allowed in there. Sleeping definitely was not allowed in there. I would go into the wellness room and immediately I would lock it and just sleep on the wooden floor. I would do that for an hour max. Everything had to be the bare minimum because I could not raise suspicion that I was like sleeping in there. If they found out, I couldn't go anywhere else. I could not mess that up. What was going through my mind was I need this place to study. This is where I study, and if I can't study here, it's going to be very hard for me to find another place to study around the clock. I was technically homeless, and I didn't see myself as homeless at all. My goal, my mission was to study. I wanted to be in this position. I signed up for this to study. I'm here to study and gain the skill of trading, and I'm on a mission. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I did this on purpose because it was the most efficient way for me to study around the clock and to reduce my bills and to catch up with everything. I did this to improve my life. I used to watch Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant would do 4 practices a day, wake up at 4 in the morning. So I was on that kind of grind. I was showering at the gyms and working out at the gyms. When COVID happened, the gyms were closed. They closed, so I had to go to Skid Row. Messed up my original routine. I ended up going to Skid Row almost a daily basis and waiting in line for the showers, which sometimes took over an hour. Very dirty environment outside with the nastiest, grimiest people. So life was really bad, but at the same time, the COVID market was what I really needed. And during that crazy period, there was a lot of uncertainty in the air. All that uncertainty created a mania, a black swan event that created a mania. COVID market was so beautiful because all the uncertainty that happened, especially at 4 a.m. Eastern, which is 1 a.m. for me in the West Coast. That 1 a.m. time, some stocks would gap up thousands of percents up 1 a.m. and just fade all the way back down for little to no reason. And especially during a time like COVID, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's so much uncertainty on a day-to-day basis. People thought it was going to be a 2-week thing. COVID, remember in the beginning, 2 weeks, then it became months. Think about it. The gyms, they would open them up, close them out, open them up, close them up. There'll be riots. No one knew what was going to happen. It's just so much uncertainty. But that first year, that uncertainty provided so much opportunity within the pre-market with all these stocks, especially biotechs or biotech-related stocks that would just surge. And then they'll just come fading back down. People just chasing them at 4 in the morning. Also, I think there was an inefficiency because previous to 2020, there was no pre-market volume. 2020, since then, we've had a lot of pre-market volume. I just caught that initial transition from pre-market volume being non-existent to existent. With uncertainty, COVID, the biotechs, this allowed me to start from like basically zero and grow. That was my first shot that I really took with trading. Before that, I was trading such tiny size for 4 or 5 years. So I knew at that time, it's easy to just sit on the sidelines and watch. I was very comfortable trading a very small account, a couple $1,000 account, 100 shares here, 100 shares there. When that market came, I was like, you know what? This is the Black Swan. I had just read The Black Swan by Nassim Taleb. Before, I studied history. I studied the 1920s, the roaring 20s. I studied the dot-com boom and bust, the recession of 2008, all of history, the tulip mania, the South Sea bubble. This is the mania. This is one of those. This is the mania, and I need to take advantage. I can't just trade very small account forever. Like, I'm here to do this for real. Like, how am I going to get out of student debt if I'm trading a $2,000 account forever? I can't do that. So this is the time I've been waiting for. All the biotechs are surging so much on a daily basis for a month or two every day. But the confirmation for me was seeing a lot of traders on social media. They started to grow exponentially. Now I got to give this a real shot. The time is now. Now, it was bittersweet for me because I'm waiting in line in Skid Row at a daily basis. And some of those days, I remember waiting in line. I'd be like, man, I just made 4,000 yesterday. I made 10,000 this week. And here I am on Skid Row. And I would be quiet. I would not speak to anybody on Skid Row. It's not a place to be friendly. Even the security guards, they used to say, hey, next, you. I don't say, hey, how you doing? There's none of that in Skid Row. You don't do that. This is like a prison environment. You're supposed to go there with a straight face, go shower, and get the hell out of there. So I was doing well. I started out well, but just like every other trader, I've had some bigger losses. 2020, I had an $11,000 loss. The first loss I had that was significant was $11,000 loss. It was an OTC stock I was short. I used to short OTCs. I thought they were easy. They were paid promotions and they're obvious scams. I was short a biotech COVID stock and it gapped up overnight, and OTCs don't trade in the pre-market or the after hours. I swung it over the weekend. That stock was on Fox Business, and I think they paid to be on Fox Business. And they were saying they have the cure for COVID, they have the cure for cancer, they had the cure for HIV. I was like, this is ridiculous. That stock gapped up like 400%, and I took an $11,000 loss. It just happened to be the exact amount that I had made over that past year. I made $11,000 that year, shorting very small. And I was like on my way to surpass PDT. From a 5K, I grew it to 16K. Oh, only 9 more to go, 9 more K to go, and I'm over PDT. And then I had the $11,000 loss, took it all out. And then 2021, I had a $19,000 loss. This is like when my accounts were a lot smaller. These losses put a big dent. When I faced those losses early on, big setback like that, you lose months. In that case, the early one, I lost a year of profits. That thought creeps in your head, okay, like, can I even do this? Maybe I gotta go do something else. You gotta go back to architecture. It's just a human emotion that we all go through. You know, sometimes you feel like quitting, but this is all I had. The decision was already made before. When I deleted my architecture portfolio in 2017, because I knew I was never gonna go back, that decision was already made for me. I burned the boats. I didn't have a plan B. So even if I wanted to go back, I couldn't because I already burned the boats. This was like the only direction I was going to go in. I'm going to be a trader or just I'm going to die trying. This is one of the key things for me that kept me in the game. I have no plan B. This is all I'm going to do forever. Once I got going, once I got that first $250,000 of total profits, being up $250,000 in profits, I have a 60K loss on PETZ. It's devastating, but this is my identity now. I'm a trader. I'm just going to keep getting better and keep coming back. If I had a plan B, maybe it'd be easier. You put trading aside, and then all of a sudden you realize you put it aside for months, and then months become years, and it slowly slips away. So by having no plan B, it forces you to keep improving. Traders are entrepreneurs. Even when I had those initial setbacks, those big losses early on, I knew that in the future, as you grow, you're going to keep taking bigger losses. It's just part of the game. Journaling it every which way you can, refine my whole process and refine all my rules, keep refining, and each loss makes me better. The losses make me so much better because now I have the knowledge, now I have the experience, I'm battle tested. For example, I started to optimize things, including my broker, discipline, and in my tools. I started to notice that I need a direct access broker that's open at 4 in the morning, and I need to locate better rebate routes. I started to use Dilution Tracker and Ask Edgar to find out where the stocks are domiciled at. Better tools to know more information so you don't get blindsided. So I discovered that Cobra Trading has Cobra Prime, and Cobra Prime has all the tools that I use, and I'm able to lower my costs because instead of paying for all those tools individually, I just have Cobra Prime, and Cobra Prime includes them like Dilution Tracker, Ask Edgar, Trade Ideas. Also, the routing improved my trading as well. Now I'm not just bleeding out on ECN fees and commissions. Now I use rebate routes like REB25 at Cobra, and my trading gets run more like a business. You need to approach it trading like a business. I know a lot of you guys that are watching this video are in the developing stage, or if you resonate with these experiences. So for me, my wake-up call in my career was when I realized that I need to drop my baggages, my extra baggage outside of trading. I need to get that under control. So I made a really crucial decision to leave my apartment when the lease ended, get an office space so I can grind and study as much as I could. I know my method is a bit extreme and it's not for everybody. Now take a moment to reflect on yourself. What would you want to change in your current state of trading? My final advice is you need to find a verified mentor. When I first started, I didn't have anything to really start with, and I was looking at furus. I wasted a lot of time looking at material that I didn't need to look at. So that's why I created Friendly Bear University, is to go back in time. What would David from 2015 need to know? So it's just a straight line. Do exactly, study this, focus on this blueprint, verified, proven methods. And that's also why I wrote the book Short Selling Master. You can ask AI right now what short selling books are out there. There's like barely anything. It's all outdated. So I decided to write to write it myself and to put everything in there, move the whole industry forward. Just Google my name. You're going to see all this auditing and verification process that I've went through multiple times, from Business Insider to Forbes to NASDAQ. My publisher, Harriman House. Trading is an industry that's not really regulated trading education. You can't go to college for it. You got to learn it from the school of hard knocks. Either that or you go to a firm in Wall Street, a really reputable firm. Unfortunately, it's very hard to sift through and find the right information. I'm David Capablanca. If you resonate with this video, give it a like and subscribe. Remember to start early, and if you need to change things, you can change it early. You don't have to wait.